Well, good morning, my Teaser King family. How's everybody today? I hope we are doing well. It's a Sunday. So, as I explained, we'll see what July 4th holds. All right. So, let's go to baseball since there's no gold until tonight. And we start off. The Tigers win 4-1. We can't bet the game because the White Sox played a bullpen guy. It's the newest thing in baseball. We don't have any pitchers. We're going to play our bullpen. So they win 4-1. Cincinnati 10, the Yankees 2. We do lose with that game. We took the Yankees, but just a small play. Toronto 8, the Cubs 6. We have the Cubs over 9.5. A good play there. You know, when you get the weak pitchers, you go over. And if you got, more of the aces, then you play the game under or the team. San Diego 6, Texas 4. We played San Diego. They must have had a good pitcher going, or Texas's pitcher sucked. Your first 3-unit play was Miami. We have Miami 3 units. They win 6-3. So there we go. So we're pretty hot. Milwaukee, we go under 7, and we have whatchamacallit. We had Harrison going against the good pitcher for Atlanta. Total was 7. We go under 7 because of the pitchers, and Atlanta wins. So we would have lost taking Harrison like we would have lost if we played Vizorowski. But we played the under in both games. So this is a push 4-3. Atlanta scores 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th, or Milwaukee would have won 3-2. So again, the manager pulling his ace too soon. But this is a push, so no lose. We have Tampa over 8, and Washington wins 4-3. Again, struggling with Washington and Tampa. They seem to hit well, but they don't score a lot. So, actually, this says the total was 6.5. So it did go down to 6.5. So probably a 7. So we'll call it a push instead of a loss, because it actually went to 6.5. Actually was a win, but at the time we looked at it, we had Houston with Spaghetti going. Cleveland beats them 8-1. I watched a few innings of that game, and Spaghetti, he threw a curveball right down the middle. The guy hit it for a 3-run homer. I said, this guy's not all that. Our big lock was Philadelphia. They went 15-3 with their ace on the mound, Sanchez, and it was 15-1 when they pulled him, right? So there you go, Philly. Finally, something makes sense. We play Paul Scanes. We debated and debated. I says, I can't play the game over. The total was 10. I says, I can't go over with Scanes on the mound. I should go under, but Colorado's pitcher sucks. What happened to Pitt's hitting? How did Pitt lose? So it's 2-1. Let's look at the box score. What the fuck happened here? You shouldn't lose with Scanes. They got a run in the first inning, and that was it. Colorado got a run in the first and the third, and that was it. Sugano is terrible. I got Sugano here as a bad high ERA pitcher. And Scanes goes 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 2.86 ERA, and his pitch count was 104 pitches again for 6 innings. And then Madzinski comes in and gives up just 1 hit and 2 runs. Let's look at their batting. Where is Pittsburgh's hitting? They got a whopping 6 hits. 1 hitter, 2 hitters, 3 hitters, 4 hitters, 5 hitters, 6 hitters, 7 hitters. 7 hitters, you get 6 hits. Now, what do I mean by that? 281, 245, 285, 279, 289, 278, 295. And, we should be getting 5-6 runs against Sugano, who basically stinks. Colorado, their hitters, 290, 277, 280, that's 3, 309, that's 4. So they had 4 hitters. And Sugano goes 6 innings, gives up 4 hits and 1 run, 5 strikeouts, a 4.31 ERA against 6 hitters, and he goes and gives up 1 run. Herget, 4.42 goes an inning and a third, gives up nothing. 3.86 gives up 2 hits and no runs, and 5.06 finishes the game 2/3. I mean, look at this bullpen, and how does Scanes lose? This is where the streak is. So I bet against the streak because it was Sugano, and I thought Pittsburgh can hit. They're going to get, but I mean, the total of 10, where was that? I mean, you got to be kidding. Then we've got Oakland under 10. That's a winner. California wins 7-0. We've got Seattle, and they lose 5-1 to Boston. We've got Baltimore beating the Dodgers 3-2. And then we got Arizona over 9 that wins 10-8, 16-8 Minnesota. So we go 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, a push, 4-2, 4-3, 4-4, 4-5. We go 5-5, but we make money because our locks win. Philly and Miami were both 3 units, so that's +6. The Cubs were also 3 units. That's +9, +11, +9, +7, +5, +3, +6, +3. So we're +3 units because we made a lot of 3-unit bets yesterday. Philly, the Cubs over Miami, those were all 3 units, and the Dodgers was 3 units, and Arizona over 9 was 3 units. So we go 1-1, 2-1, 3. We go 4-1 on our 3-unit plays. The free play was Philly, and we gave you Miami because Meyer's pitching. And so the only real, like Houston with spaghetti, kind of surprising that, and it's really they just don't hit. And then we have Scanes losing, which he's now lost 8 in a row. But against Sagano, Pitt should have scored 5 runs. I didn't think the game would go over 10 with Scanes. So that's why I played Pittsburgh. I was being clever. The Dodgers losing 3-2 to Baltimore. And they had a good pitcher going, and Baltimore's pitcher, who's Baltimore's pitcher? Baltimore's pitcher was Rogers, and Rogers, he was 8-1. He lost out of his last 9. He was 1 win and 8 losses. And here he does a 7-inning, 1-hit shutout against the Dodgers. Really? Did the Dodgers not play their players? I mean, how is that possible? Shotani 1 for 4. Pages no hits. Freeman no hits. Betts gets a hit. Rojas no hits. Tucker no hits. So I mean, they got 4 hits on the guy. But Rogers is a terrible pitcher. He's 1-8 his last 9, and we had a pretty good pitcher for the Dodgers. So this is where it's averages, it's that, and that's what happened. So Rogers is now 9-2 with losses. Again, you use it as a meter to play the game. This guy's lost his last 5, his last 6. Bet against him. Now we went against the rule mistakenly with Scanes. We had a bad pitcher for Colorado. We thought they'd score runs. We knew Scanes. Scanes still pitched 104 pitches in 6 innings. It's just amazing. They just foul ball him. It's not like he gives up a lot of walks. He's just so close to the plate, they just foul the ball off intentionally. They're up there for walks. They're really not up there to hit. They're up there to run the pitch count. Thanks to Moneyball. Worst movie I've ever seen. I saw that movie in Tubi, and I just disliked it. I thought it was a terrible movie. It's fuck baseball. Baseball's terrible. Well, let's hit a bunch of foul balls and get a lot of walks, and we'll get the pitcher out of the game. That's our strategy. Is we can't hit the pitcher, so we're going to let him run his arm out, and then we'll get to the second or third pitcher. But you don't have any hitters on your team. They're all up there looking for walks. That's why these teams, nobody ever wins. Oakland, how many times did they win? Oh, yeah, none. That system does not work. The philosophy of having a worse pitcher pitch to you. But what if you hit the good pitcher? What if you have a good matchup and the pitcher's got a low ERA, but you can hit him? Oops, I guess that system's all fucked up, isn't it? Anyway, so that's yesterday. So a +3 day. We go 5-5. Tampa, Washington. These guys, they can't hit. They were not facing good pitchers, and they can't hit. Oakland under 10 was good. Arizona over 9 was good. But shocked that Seattle and the Dodgers lost. Very shocking. Miami and Philly were really good bets. So that's what we have there. And we flip the page as we've run out of room to today is 6 of 21 on the Piston Radio Network. And let us dive into today's games. And we open, it's a 1:30 game. It's 11:15. We're okay. And happy Father's Day to all our family. I didn't even know, this is the problem with all the streaming. I didn't even know the U.S. Open was on yesterday. The only reason I kind of knew it is because I know it's always on Father's Day. And I said, wait a minute, Father's Day's today, but it was yesterday. And so I turned it on, and it's on till 8 o'clock. I got home after swim about 6:30, and I'm watching the golf. The only problem is I don't know who the hell's the leader. I've never heard of, and I hate Scotty Scheffler. Scotty, anybody named Scotty, call yourself Scott. Unless you're named after the guy on Star Trek. And then call yourself Spock. As my buddy sending me a happy Father's Day. Um, so this is the problem. I keep hearing more and more about streaming, and we'll get into baseball in 1 second. And people are, where's it going to go? You're going to have to stream the football games. You're going to have to stream the baseball game. Well, we already do. And my answer is no, you don't. Just don't do it. If nobody hits the streaming services, they'll have to put it back on regular TV. Attendance will drop. Viewerships, but they fake the viewerships. They just look at everybody who's got Netflix and says they're all watching the football game. How do they know what I'm watching on Netflix? I'd like to know. And if I am watching the football game, how do they know that? It's impossible. So it's all fraud. And it gets higher TV, 20 billion people watched the game. No, they didn't. They just happen to have Netflix. But you can't tell me what I'm watching on Netflix. That's bullshit. So I think that's why they're going to streaming. They can fake the numbers and get more advertising money. But they'll lose viewers. Football is kind of okay because it's the betting. We watch football because we bet on it. It's once a week. And I don't care if I watch it on TV, I'll watch it on YouTube. I get a 20-minute review of what happened in the game. I can see the box score. And, you're just killing yourself because if nobody's jumping into Netflix and Peacock and Amazon Prime and the NFL, nobody cares. Nobody's buying that to get it. You might have Amazon Prime already or Peacock. I don't know why anybody would get these streaming services. And I don't know where the value is in the streaming service from the streaming services standpoint. I can sell it to so many households. Yeah, but as everybody goes broke because the money isn't worth anything, you're going to lose viewers. I think it's hooked to the cable. So if you own cable, then and they have it, then it counts, even though you might not be watching. Like I know when I used to have cable, I used to have the Big Ten network. I didn't pay for the Big Ten network, but I paid for cable. And it was included in cable. It was like $120 a month. So I told them to fuck off. But I didn't subscribe to the Big Ten network. It was just part of the package. I think I also had the Pac-10 network. That did real well, didn't? Oh, yeah, the Pac-10's gone. So if they think that we're going to pay for streaming, we're just going to watch something else. We don't watch baseball. There's no baseball on to watch. I watched a little of that Cleveland-Houston game because it was on Fox. I think today it's on NBC network, but notice the U.S. Open is on. I think it's NBC, and they do such a lousy job. Their guys are terrible. The announcers. You miss Jim McKay and Pat Summerall. Pat Summerall doing a game, especially with John Madden. It's you don't watch it for them, but you're glad they're on. Now you got Idiot 1 and Idiot 2 doing the commentary. But anyway, you're just watching, but there's no name in golf. There's no there's Nicholas and Trevino and Tom Watson. Even Tiger, who I hate, he's not there. You've got nobody. If Scott, whatever his name is your big draw, you're in big trouble. He's a terrible draw. He's not a star. They have to call him the world number one because nobody would know he is the world number one unless they say, oh, it's the world number one. And how do you rank that? Guy hasn't won a tournament in 5 years. What is he, the world number one? Not this week. He's losing by 6 strokes. He ain't the world number one. The world number one would win. It's like you win the Super Bowl. You lose the Super Bowl. You're not the world number one. So their whole method of accumulating weeks, when the last 50 weeks, he's the number one ranked. Oh, that's bullshit. It's got to be like college football. You rank it every week. There's a different ranking. So if you notice, football has not gone that way as far as having certain teams being on streaming. They're kind of edging to it, but these are the shit games on Thursday. And the Australia game they're going to put on, streaming. It's a big loss for them. You want as much exposure as you can get. That's why they do commercials. The commercial for whatever they're promoting is to get the market. As I say, the market is about demand. You want more demand, you can set your prices higher because there's demand for your product. Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Oreos. And you have commercials to get people to see it, to get demand up. Oh, yeah, I want to go buy Oreos, or that pizza. Yeah, that looks good, even though it's all junk. So you're sitting there doing these things, and that's why you advertise. Well, you're killing the advertisement, because if you're on Amazon Prime, nobody's watching your ads. I'd be pretty pissed. Well, I got so many people on Amazon. I get a lot more people on ABC than I'm going to get on Amazon Prime because it's free. How many people are running? You're trying to eat. You're trying to pay your utilities. Are you really fucking going to get going to buy Amazon Prime to watch a meaningless Cleveland and Tennessee game? Hell no. Or these London games? What's the point of the London game? Is the point of the London game so Amazon Prime will show the game, or Netflix? Let's have them on Christmas so Netflix can show it. I think that's what it is, but I'd be pissed if I'm an advertiser, because I want the bigger market. On ABC or CBS or Fox, I'm getting so many millions of people. And you take it to Prime, I have to be getting way less people than I would on ABC. So they got to be careful, because that's a lot of people not watching the game. If you think everybody's turning Amazon Prime on to watch the game, they're out of their minds. That's not what's happening. God, my nose. So that's not what's happening. Is people aren't. If you think people are buying Amazon Prime to watch the game and not to watch movies or whatever, I don't know why anybody would get an Amazon Prime or a Peacock or any of those stations. I really don't. There's nothing on. There's no movies at the theaters anymore. I mean, we're waiting for the next Batman, which will come out next year. It takes 5 years to come out with a new Batman. Are you kidding me? Mission Impossible doesn't even have a problem every year or two. But that's the point. So I want to be on TV that gives me the most exposure to increase the demand for my product, whatever I'm selling. Pizza, Coke, Oreos, software, hardware, glasses, tennis balls, whatever it is. I want the most amount of people, and I'm not going to get it. And don't be fooled. Well, it's on Amazon Prime, so that'll give you the most amount of people. God, what is with this? So I see this as a big failure. Plus, you've got less people watching it and more people watching. Well, I don't have Amazon Prime. I'm going to watch something else. Is that really what you want? I don't want to be, you have to have a subscription to watch me. And so people watch something else. Well, that's not what I want. That's why it's free subscription, to get the most volume of people to watch me. And they buy the Teaser King, the football. They want my picks, they buy it. That's the idea. But I don't want to exclude people that you have to, I'll make money on the subscription. I don't know how much money I'd make. I don't know if I'd make any money. I don't buy subscription to Alligator McLeod. Fuck it. If he's not on YouTube, I'll watch Egon and I'll watch Mark McGuire. I don't need to watch Alligator. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I do have some good videos I'm going to share with you. I can't remember what they were, but there was, we watched the GM crashing, what bankrupt them. Basically, they don't know what their market is, right? They got rid of all the cars that used to give them the market, and then they couldn't compete with Toyota. And at the end of the video, they're going back to electric cars. There's no demand for that. So GM don't work at GM. And if you are working there, I'd have your resume out and looking for a new job, because they'll be broke soon, because there is no demand in America for electric cars, because we have gas powered cars. And we don't want the car blowing up, catching on fire, keeping me trapped inside because the battery dies, or looking for a charging station. And then how much is the charging going to be? So there's no positive to an electric car, because you're going to be charging it every day. After about 6 months, as we know, in a cell phone and our laptop, the batteries don't hold charge. They start wearing down, and then you're fucked. And then, and the repairs on those cars are very expensive. So anyway, so if they think they're going to head, well, look at baseball. Their audience is down to nothing during the week. Why wasn't the Scanes game on TV? Why wasn't the Sanchez game, Philadelphia, on TV? Why wasn't the Mizorowski game against, what was it, Chris Sale? Or I think it was Sanchez for Atlanta. Why wasn't that game on TV? That would draw an audience. That's like Mahomes. You didn't have it. Oh, that's what I was going to show you. There's the Mizorowski video, and it's the 7th inning, and the manager wants to take him out of the game. He says, "Fuck off." That's a winner. We'll be betting Mizorowski every time. That's a winner. He told the manager to fuck off. And what happens with Screwball? Oh, my arm's tired. In the game 5 of the playoffs, oh, my arm's tired. I pitched 5 innings. I'm going to go take my ball and go home and go take a nap. Where's my blanket? That's the difference. I want Mizorowski. I want Jack Moore. I want pitchers who want to win, not Screwball, who's a loser. Oh, I'm tired. I'm going to, it reminds me of Anthony Richardson taking himself out of the game because he's tired. This is pro football. What the fuck is wrong with you? So baseball is screwing up. That Mizorowski, whatever day it's on, should be on national TV, on ABC or Fox. Mizorowski against Chris yesterday was what's his name? Harrison against Sale. That should be on fucking TV. That's your TV game. You got 2 great pitchers. You got Scanes going against shit pitcher in Colorado, but people will stop to watch Scanes. What the fuck are the networks doing? So it's on what, a Pittsburgh channel and a Colorado channel, which has no audience, versus a national channel going, hey, Paul Scanes is on. Let's watch it. That's something you would watch. That's Willie Mays. That's Mickey Mantle. You would watch the Yankees. You would watch Mantle. You would watch DiMaggio if they had TV back then. It was in the 40s, so I doubt it. But certainly Scanes. If Scanes faces Mizorowski and that game ain't on TV, these guys have their heads way up their asses. Well, we'll do it. Oh, no, you can't get the Pittsburgh network, and you can't get the Milwaukee network. It's just for the home team. It's a small little segment. And that's what baseball is. They have very few stars. And they're trying to think Shotani's a star, and he's not. He's no Mizorowski, and he's no Scanes, and he's no what's this guy? I keep forgetting. Harrison and Sale and this other guy on Atlanta and Sanchez on Philly. Those are the stars, not Shotani because he's Chinese or Japanese, whatever he is. And that's what baseball is missing. And that's what, if football gets all this and they don't show Kansas City and Denver, notice it's Monday night, but I guarantee it'll be on ABC. If it isn't, they're making a huge mistake showing it on ESPN. ESPN should be ESPN and ABC. That's how all the ESPN games should roll. So if you miss that game, you're fucked. Whoever's running this is crazy. Oh, well, we'll buy Amazon Prime to watch it. No, we're not. And it's on ESPN. I'm not buying ESPN to watch it. I hate ESPN. I hate most of these streaming services. I've got Netflix, and I really don't like it. The options of movies are horrible. They should have a database, and you choose. I want to watch this movie and that movie and this movie and that movie. And instead, it's, well, we'll show you. Here's these 10. Well, I don't want to watch the Rocky movies, and I don't want to watch the Expendable movies. So I'm fucked. You don't have any movies on. I don't need to see Spider-Man again or Batman again. Been there, done that. Why don't you show some new fucking movies or give me a bigger choice? And this is the problem with Netflix. It's old, it's boring, and I'm not watching it for the football games. You're watching it for movies. There's a few Money Heist, okay, Berlin, okay. There's a few things to watch, but otherwise, it's not worth it. All right, let's get into baseball. We'll get back to this topic of how the leagues are blowing themselves up. So we start off with Milwaukee at Atlanta. Now, Atlanta's won the first two, beating Mizorowski and then beating Harrison. Very close games, very good games, low scoring. So these hitters probably can't hit because after seeing the two guys on Milwaukee, Atlanta, man, these hitters are talking to themselves. So we got Gasser against Elder. We got Atlanta minus 113 and 9, and they'll never get 9. Gasser with the 4.88 against Elder with the 3.17. Let's go inside. Robert Gasser from California. He's pitched in 5 games. He's lost 4 of them. 4 innings, 3 runs, 4 innings, 4 runs, then 5 innings, 1 run, 5 innings, 6 runs, 5 innings shutout. He shut out Cleveland, which is pretty good. But nothing to write home about. And Bryce Elder, friends of Lee Elder, probably. And nothing there. He's win some, lose some, as my cousin Vinny says. 8 innings, 3 runs, 6 innings, 1 run, 3 innings, 6 runs, 6 innings, 3 runs, 6 innings, 2 runs, 4 innings, 6 runs. So this guy is a bum. 3.17 ERA. No, not in the last 6. It's more like 5. 4.88 for Gasser. We don't know. This could be an over. Gasser. He pitched in 24, 5 games, 2.57 ERA, 2 games in 25, 3.18, and he's got a 4.86 so far this year in 5 games. So this guy's either been injured or he's not very good. He goes between minor leagues and this. So we should get runs. This Elder stinks, although both teams have faced excellent pitching. And so this is going to be like softball city for them, seeing normal pitchers. I don't know. Very tough to decide, but we do have some weak pitching compared to what they have been. Cincinnati goes to the Yankees, and we will give you a free pick, maybe 2, like we did yesterday, and they keep winning, so that's all that matters. All right, here we go. Here's a strong pitching matchup. The Yankees are minus 114 and 9, and Burns for Cincinnati, their ace, 2.02 ERA, goes against Rodriguez with the 4.15 for the Yankees. Keep in mind, Cincinnati did win yesterday, and now they got their ace on the mound. The Yankees didn't hit. He's won 1, 2. He's 6-1. His last 7, and his last 6, 6 innings shutout, 6 innings, 1 run, 5 innings, 2 runs, 6 innings, 2 runs, 5 innings, 2 runs, 5 innings shutout. He does not give up a lot of runs as he faced the Yankees. He beat the Mets 7-2, 12-0, beat Philly 4-1, and lost the pit probably against Scanes. Haven't pitched against the Yankees. It's surprising he's a dog here. Let's look at Rodriguez. Can't find the page. What do you mean you can't find the page? Well, the guy's obviously pitched. He's got a 4.15 ERA. Do I have him in my? I got Rodriguez on California. I need Rodriguez on the Yankees. Yankees, I got Warren, who let us down yesterday. motherfucker. So they hit Warren pretty good. So let's give you this as a free play. Cincinnati, we got Burns going. 3-unit play. Take Cincinnati, especially as the dog. I'm shocked that Rodriguez is the favorite. It's a 114. Now, Cincinnati won yesterday. Let's look at this series. I think Cincinnati won the first two. Head-to-head, the Yankees won 5-0 with Schittler on Friday night. Cincinnati won 10-2 yesterday, beating Warren. And now they got Burns going against Rodriguez. So we're going to take Burns. He's their ace, 2.02 ERA, and that's a real ERA. Doesn't give up a lot of runs. And the Yankees couldn't hit whoever pitched yesterday for him, who was not as good as Burns. So we'll go Cincy, 3 units. Your free pick. You're welcome. Bon appetit. Happy Father's Day. Washington, Tampa. Hey, what do we do with this team? We got to go under on it. Tampa 127, 8.5. A. Alvarez 3.0 for Washington, and Nick Martinez 2.60 for Tampa Bay. Andrew Alvarez, he's 6-2. Well, the team is. His last 5. 1 inning, 0, 3 innings, 3 runs, 4 innings, 1 run, 4 innings, 2 runs, 4 innings, 1 run. And he's pretty much a starter. The 1 inning was 18 pitches, so I don't know if that was a bullpen stint. But even like 3 innings, 74 pitches, 4 innings, 82 pitches, 4 innings, 90 pitches. He had 5 walks against the 49ers. So, I mean, this guy, 90 pitches, 80, 58, 82, 70. So this guy is a starter, and basically he ain't very good. 3.49 ERA. It says he started 3 games, so maybe he's a long reliever. 5 innings, 2.31. He was on Philadelphia with the 4.30. He was on Miami before then, 6.45, 2.65. This is so he goes 2014, 2015, doesn't pitch in 2016, and then doesn't pitch from 2017 to 2025. So this guy must be injured or sent back to the minors. So this guy's a pig. And Nick Martinez for Tampa, 2.6. Nick, nothing there. 2.6 ERA this year, 4.45 last year. And let's see what he's doing. His last 5. 6 innings, 1 run, 7 innings, 2 runs, 4 innings, 6 runs, 7 innings, 3 runs, 5 innings, 3 runs. So lately he's been a bit of a pig. Not a lot of walks, 1 walk a game. That's all he does. So it's good control. We've seen these games go under. So let's go with the flow. Alvarez, not very good. Tampa should win the game. They're 127, but you can't tell. The White Sox against Detroit. We got Dean Martin going, our favorite, against Cater Montero, who stinks. Detroit's 113, 8.5. Why is Detroit favored with Dean Martin on the mound? Davis Martin, he's very good. He's won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's 8-2. His last 10, winning 8-2. Last game, Yankees killed them 12-2. So he's had a few fluke games. If I go his last 10, he's given up 1 run, 0, 1, 1, and then a 4, and then a 1, and then a 6, and then a 0, and then a 9. Well, the 9 was to the Yankees. A 6 was Minnesota, but the game before he beat Minnesota on 1 run, and the 4 was the 49ers. And then the other 5 were 1s and 0s. So there's a couple, the losses where he gives up 6 runs and 9 runs. He hasn't faced Detroit. And he goes, I'm starting to see 105 pitches, 100, especially Scanes. Scanes just goes like 105 pitches now. They got to get off that pitch count. Shocking that Scanes lost to Colorado yesterday, 2-1 yet. I mean, I could see if it was 8-7 and the relievers came in and you had, but Pitt to only get 1 run on Colorado's garbage pitcher was just shocking. That's the problem. When you see a team with all the hitting, you expect them to get 3-4 runs. All right. So what do we do here? 3 innings, 9 runs against the Yankees. And it was 88 pitches. Yeah, the manager probably needs to pull him a little bit sooner. And he had a bad 4-inning game against the Minnesota. Otherwise, he normally wins. The Tigers can't hit. Cater Montero, 3.62 ERA. He's a bum. Cater is 0-1, 0-2, 0-3, 0-4, 0-5, 0-6. He's 1-7 his last 8. And he gives up his last 6. He gave up 5 innings, 3 runs, 5 innings, 4 runs, 6 innings shutout, 5 innings, 4 runs, 6 innings shutout, 1 inning, 2 runs, 30 pitches to Houston. Goes 1 inning, 2 runs, and 30 pitches. So he gave up 4 runs to Seattle. Minnesota, he shuts them out. They win 11-0. So when you get a big lead, it's easier. So basically, I think we know what we're doing there. So I like Dean Martin. He's good. It's got a few. How do you analyze that? Shutout. He gives up 6 runs. Part of it is the manager for not pulling him. You can see he's having a bad day. He can't get the ball over. He's throwing too many balls. What the fuck you doing? So part of it's the manager pushing these large runs out there, but when he's on, he's very good. And then the manager can't wait to take him out. Well, he's finally pitching strikes, so let's take him out because it's been 95 pitches. But I'm going to show you Mizorowski, and it's just, that's the difference between him and Skubal. He wants to win. Skubal doesn't. Skubal just cares about the money. All right, the 49ers at Miami, and we've got the 49ers minus 136.8. The game's in Miami. Logan Webb, who I know we have, he had lost 5 straight. Let's see, update that. Logan Webb for the Niners. 1, 2, 3, 4. He won, then he lost another. So he's 2-5. So we won't go there. His last 5 games: 4 innings, 6 runs, 4 innings, 1 run, 7 innings, no runs, 8 innings, 1 run, 8 innings, 1 run. So again, but before then, he gave up 4 runs, 3 runs. So he's starting to get better. The 6 runs was against San Diego, not the Phillies or the Dodgers or the Yankees. Actually, he lost to the Phillies 3-0, and he lost to the Dodgers 3-0. So he pitched them very well. Then he gets against San Diego and he shits the bed. And then it's been 1-0, 1-1. So a pretty good pitcher, Logan Webb, against Gusto for Miami. Ryan Gusto has pitched 5 games, 3-2, 1 inning, 0 runs, pitched 12 pitches. The fuck. Then he goes 2 innings, 3 runs, 2 innings, 3 runs, 4 innings, 0, 4 innings, 5 runs. And the last 2 games, looks like he started. He pitched 66 and then 91, and he gave up 5 runs in 4 innings to the Phillies. So Gusto, Yeah, he started 3 games. So in 2025, he had a 5 ERA with Houston and then a 10 ERA with Miami. And then this year he's got a 7.24 ERA with Miami. All right. So this is where, if you notice, we took Miami with Max Meyer yesterday and got the W. Well, Howard, how can you then, switch or go over and then under? Well, it's all the pitching. So if this was Webb and Meyer, we'd take Meyer, but this is Webb and Gusto, and you can't. So that's why you're not taking Miami today with this pick. Cleveland goes to Houston. Sony against Tang. Cleveland killed him yesterday, beating Spaghetti, which I was shocked. It was the first time I watched Spaghetti. Good control, but it's right down there. He threw a curveball that I could have hit for a home run. It just curved right down the middle of the plate, belt high. It was crazy. So Houston minus 129 and 119. We have 8.5 is the total. We have Sassoni 462, Tang 582, Slade Sassoni. Where are they getting that name from? Last 5 innings, 3 runs, 4 innings, 3 runs, 6 innings, 1, 5 innings, 2, 5 innings, 1 in his last 3 games. 2 of them are against the Yankees, where he gave up 1, 2, and 1 to Milwaukee. And he gave up 3 runs to Boston and Philly, 2 runs to the Tigers, shut out California. So the last games have been lower scoring. 1 run, 2 runs, 1 run, and that's against the Yankees. So maybe he's starting to pitch better. The Slater. And Houston has Tang from Taiwan, not a Mr. Fuji guy. We forgot who's got Taiwan. I can't remember which manager. He's lost his last 4, Tang, for Houston. And his last 5, 6 innings shutout. He had a 5 inning shutout before then. And then it went 5 innings, 3 runs, 5 innings, 5 runs, 4 innings, 7 runs, 3 innings, 5 runs. So his last 4, he sucks. He lost them all. He's giving up a lot of runs. The problem is Sassoni, his last 5 he's giving up 3 runs, 1 run, 2 runs, 1 run. So he's not giving up runs, and Tang's giving up runs. So you almost want to, you're tempted to go over because Tang stinks, but Sassoni's not giving up a lot of runs. And Houston didn't do much yesterday. And Cleveland beat their ace, Spaghetti, yesterday. So there you go. I'm looking for a second free play, but I think I might have found it here. St. Louis, Kansas City. St. Louis minus 119, 8.5. We got Dusty May, coach of Michigan, 3.78 against Steve Kolek, 2.70. Kolek had a good game last time. Dusty May, nothing there. Last 5, 5 innings, 4 runs, 7 innings, 2 runs, 5 innings, 3 runs, 6 innings shutout, and a 9-inning 1-hit shutout to San Diego. Holy fuck. So really the worst, he gives up a lot of 3 runs. 4 runs was his worst. That was against Pittsburgh when they actually were hitting. So Dusty May, he's kind of all like he pitches well, but they don't win. Gave up 2 runs to Milwaukee and lost 2-1. So they won 3-0, 7-0 the last 2 when he shuts out the team. And we got Kansas City with Kolag, Stephen Kolag from Houston. He's won his last 5 out of his last 6. He's a winner. His last 6 games, 6 innings shutout, 9 innings shutout, 5 innings, 6 runs, 7 innings, 2 runs, 5 innings, 2 runs, and 7 innings shutout. So he had 1 bad game against Texas and then pounds everybody else. He gave up 5 runs a while back in May to the White Sox. So out of his last 10, he gave up 5 and 6, and then he's had 2 zeros, 3 zeros, and 2 twos, and a 3. So which is he going to pitch today? We don't know. May's a good pitcher, so this is a good pitching battle. All right, Trana against the Cubbies. Dylan Cease against Amanamega. We got Toronto minus 108. See, I love how these odds are, but Chicago's minus is plus 100. So they're not even a dog. Toronto's 108. We got a 7 total, which in Chicago, you don't know what the wind's doing. Iomega, for the Cubs. He was 5-1. He's pretty bad. Dylan Cease, we'll see if we got anything on him. Dylan Cease, good pitcher, 2.71 ERA. And let's see, no streak. He's 5-2 his last 7. His last 2, 4, 6 games. 7 innings shutout, 7 innings, 1 run. 5 innings, 5 runs. 4 innings, 2 runs. 6 innings, 1 run. 5 innings, 0. Another shutout. So 2 shutouts and 2 1-runners. So he's very good. His loss came to the Yankees 5-4. That's the team that got the 5 on him. It's always like the Yankees or the Phillies that ruin it. We notice this pattern, which is what I do better than anybody. All these pitchers will have these zeros and ones and 2, and then there's that game they give up 6 runs. And then they go back to 1s and 2s. And there's always one game. It's usually against the Dodgers, the Yankees, or Philly, the teams that can hit. And sometimes they beat the Yankees and give it up to the White Sox or Kansas City, which you really can't figure out. So what do you do with this? 0-1-5, 2-1-0. So do you assume, well, 5 out of the 6 have been, nobody could hit them? And that's, so the ERA is 2.71. And it's Dylan Cease, very good pitcher. Amananega, however the fuck you pronounce it, from Japan, a Mr. Fuji guy, brings lots of salt to the ring. And he's 0-1, 0-2, 0-3, 0-4, 0-5. He's 2-5 his last 7, but he did beat Colorado 5-4 his last 6 games. 4 innings, 8 runs, 6 innings, 7 runs, 5 innings, 5 runs, 6 innings, 6 runs. In his last 2 games, he shut out 5 innings, shut out 5 innings, 1 run when they were against Colorado. So he gives up a lot. Dylan Cease doesn't. Okay. Now the total on the game is 7, so I would think the wind's blowing in Wrigley. You never know with Wrigley Field. You have to play what the total is in the game for the win. This is a 7, so you got to believe the wind is blowing in, because Iomega certainly doesn't warrant a 7. So if you bet Toronto and Dylan Cease, you hope Iomega has one of his give up 4, 5, 6 runs. It's hard to hit over in this game because you don't know about the wind, and Dylan Cease, most of the, 8 out of 9, he's shutting you down. All right. San Diego at Texas. Texas minus 146, 9.5. Peralta for San Diego with a 0 ERA, so it must be a bullpener, against Evaldi with the 4.24. Peralta, Wandy Peralta. Nobody's name's Wandy Peralta. Wandy Peralta, really? There. From Dominican Republic. And let's get to his game logs. Some reason they got hitting in there. All right, game logs. He's lost his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He's 1-9 his last 10. Is he I see he's a bullpen guy. So it's really deceiving. So the team's lost 9 out of the last 10 when he's come in. And it's weird when we look at it. He gave up 1 inning, he shut out. 1 inning, he gave up 2 runs, and the rest 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He hasn't given up a run. He barely gives up a hit, but he's only pitching 15, 20 pitches and that. So we have no idea with this guy. Only that the team loses when he pitches. And then we got Nathan Eovaldi for Texas out of Houston. Not a Tyler boy. He's not a Billy Sims guy. And his last 5 innings, 3 runs, 4 innings, 5 runs, 6 innings, 4 runs. Oh, wait, no, I'm reading the wrong column. 7 innings shutout, 7 innings, 3 runs, 7 innings, 5 runs, 6 innings, 4 runs, 5 innings, 4 runs, 7 innings, 3 runs. So he's basically a pig. He's going to give up 3 or 4 runs in 5 innings. And you're facing San Diego with the bullpen guy. And this is the problem. What do you do with the bullpen guy? He'll throw 1 inning of shutout ball. Great. Eovaldi's going to give up 4 or 5. I can't bet San Diego because I don't know who their pitcher is. See, this is where it's hard because the real pitcher's going to pitch the second inning. I assume that Texas has lefties to lead off. So this guy's going to start the game to get the lefties out of the lineup or give them a bad at bat, maybe. And then Eovaldi's going to give up his 4, 5, 6 runs. So you either bet San Diego because Eovaldi's going to give up a bunch of runs, or you go over, but the over is 9.5, and we don't know who the pitcher is. So we have to avoid this game. Pittsburgh, Colorado, 2-1 with Scanes yesterday. That's about right, although I played Scanes instead of the under. I didn't get the under at 10. Here the under is 11.5. We got Pittsburgh 135, 11.5. We got Jeffrey Jones 635 against Lorenzen with the 7-3-0. Lorenzen is terrible. Jeffrey Jones pitched 4 games, 3-1. 4 innings, 5 runs, 5 innings shutout, 4 innings, 2 runs, 4 innings, 5 runs. Gives up a heap of runs. 6.23 ERA. Didn't pitch in 25 against Lorenzen. And this guy really blows. He had lost 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row. Then he won. Then he lost. Then he won. Then he lost. So I will not look at his totals. His last 6. 4 innings, 7 runs. 5 innings, 5 runs. 3 innings, 3 runs. 3 innings, 8 runs, 5 innings, 1 run, 5 innings, 1 run against the Cubbies. Gives up a lot of runs. 11.5. Jeffrey Jones sucks. Lorenzen sucks. Colorado will be happy not to see Scanes. Well, what happened to Pitt yesterday? Losing 2-1 with Scanes. You knew it wasn't going to get to 10, but I took Scanes over the under. But in this case, it's do I go over or, I don't know with Jeffrey Jones, Lorenzen. Looks like an over, but it's a high total, 11.5. So we will watch. Minnesota, Arizona. We've got Arizona minus 127, 9.5. Paredes, 3.86 for Minnesota. Cabrera with a 0 for Arizona. Paredes pitched 4 games. He's got a 4.2 ERA, and he's given up 3 innings, 2, 3, 1, and 2. So he's a pig. Because you got to times him by 3. He really has like a 9 ERA. And Cabrera, I don't know how they're calculating it. And this guy's never pitched before because I can't get anything on him. He's got a 0 ERA. So I can't play this game. Both pitchers you have no idea on, right? Not enough data points. California goes to Oakland. We did have, I believe we had Oakland yesterday. No, we had Oakland under, and it won. California at Oakland. We got Oakland minus 126 and 9. We got Detmers 3.68 going against Perkins 7.62. Off the bat, it looks like a high scoring game. Let's see. Detmer 3.68. And he's won 4 out of his last 5, or the team's won. His last 6, 5 innings, 8 runs, 8 innings, 1 run, 5 innings, 3 runs, 6 innings shutout, 7 innings, 1 run, 7 innings shutout. So 4 out of his last 5, he's given up 1 run, and one was 8 innings. The only team that got him was 3 runs by Tampa Bay, and they won 14-3. The 8-run game against Oakland, 14-6. Oh, and they play Oakland today. No, they do. So Oakland got him pretty good. Perkins, 762. Oakland hits. That's all I know they do. This guy's lost 3 out of his last 4. Not enough for me. His last 6 games. Is this guy a starter? Yeah, looks like he kind of goes both ways. 4 innings, 2 runs, 2 innings, 3 runs, 2 innings shutout, 4 innings, 5 runs, 4 innings, 3 runs, 5 innings, 3 runs. So he gives up a ton of runs. His ERA 6.15. So Detmers, let's look at Detmers again. So the only pause is he played Oakland and they lost 14-6. That's his 8-run game, and then it's been 1-3-0, 1-0. So his last 5, he hasn't given up shit, except for the Oakland game, and that's who he's got tonight. So what do we do with this? Okay. Baltimore at the Dodgers. Shocking that Baltimore won yesterday because the pitchers sucked. The pitcher was Rogers, who was 8-2 against, and they won against a pretty good Dodger pitcher. 3-2 game. Dodgers minus 228.9 today. We got Bryce Young going against Ed Sheehan. Young, he's got 7 wins in a row. Let's see if he's got 8 wins in a row. He did break it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's 7-1 his last 8. So he's pretty good. He lost to Seattle 3-1 his last 6. 3 innings, 2 runs, 6 innings, 2 runs, 6 innings, 2 runs, 6 innings, 3 runs, 7 innings shutout. So he's pretty good. He'll give up a couple of runs, but not too bad. He did have a 10-run game against Houston. They lost 11-5. So here's what I was talking about. So if we look at his last 10, he gave up 3 runs, 10 runs, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 0, 3. So his really a 2 or 3 run pitcher. He's a very good pitcher. The 10's just a fluke, and that's what I'm trying to say. The pitcher will have his human day and give up 4 or 5 runs, but then he normally gives up 1 run or 2 runs, and that's what you got. His ERA 3.18, pretty good ERA. So the Dodgers should score 3 runs in the game. They shouldn't score 10. They should probably get 2 or 3. How good is Sheehan? Emmett Sheehan from New York. And he's a good old boy. He's 4 wins, 3 losses his last 7, 4 and 6 his last 10. Let's look at his last 6, 2, 4, 6. 6 innings, 2 runs, 4 innings, 4 runs, 6 innings, 2 runs, 6 innings, 2 runs, 1 inning, 50 pitches in 1 1/3, 2 runs, and 5 innings, 3 runs. See, that's what the managers should do. He pitched 49 pitches. He gave up 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, and the manager pulls him out of the game. Well, what do you see these other managers? Well, we got to get innings, and they give up 8 runs or 7 runs in the inning because the manager's got his head up his ass and doesn't pull the pitcher who's not having a good day. So here, gave up 4 runs twice. They haven't faced Baltimore. So he's really, I don't see 4, 7, 8. I just read you those last 6, and he didn't give up 4 in any of those. So we have a pitcher who's much better than 4.78, and Young, who's a very good pitcher, who is 7-1. Well, the team's 7-1 when he pitches. So this is a very good matchup. The total of 9, I don't know about. They're both capable of pitching a low-scoring game. The 228's a joke. This is not a 228 game. GM 4.78 and Young a 3.19. We know both are like a 3 ERA, but I don't see where the Dodgers are 2.28 against Young, who's a very good pitcher. It's almost a Baltimore live dog bet. And then the total of 9, it's probably an under, especially you had a very low scoring game yesterday. So don't know what to say. I'm going to watch this one. Very difficult to play. Boston and Seattle. There's our Philadelphia game. Okay, that's coming up. Boston, Seattle. We've got Seattle minus 118, 6.5. Tolley for Boston, 2.95 against Uncle Gilbert, 3.45 ERA for Seattle. Boston, I know, can hit. Peyton Toll for Boston. And game logs. He's lost 4 out of his last 5, but won 3 before. His last 6, 8 innings, 2 runs, 6 innings, 3 runs, 4 innings, 2 runs, 6 innings shutout, 6 innings, 4, 5 innings, 3. So they're going to score on Toll. Seattle, Uncle Gilbert from the Munsters. He's won his last 5. There you go. Do I have Gilbert on here? I do now. So he's won his last 5. Let's look at his last 6. And now we know why he hasn't won his last 6. 6 innings, 7 runs, 5 innings shutout, 6 innings shutout, 5 innings, 3 runs, 6 innings, 1 run, 7 innings, 1 run. So those last 5 games have been lights out. He gave 7 runs to San Diego, not the Phillies or the Yankees or the Dodgers. And he had another 4-run game against Atlanta. So he's had 2 bad games out of 10. And his last 5 are 0-0, 3-1-1. And Tolley, Tolley's last 5 have been 3-2-0, 4-3. So I'm not sure I see a 6.5 here. I think it'll go over. Boston doesn't hit well. Gilbert's been pitching good. Tolley's given up some runs. So we think Seattle scores 3 or 4, Boston maybe 1 or 2, somewhere in that neighborhood. And then the bullpen comes in, and then it's all, who knows? And that's what we have. So we will see on that game. But I don't buy this 6.5 under. I think it's over 6.5. I don't think use 6.5 as Skanes against Mizorowski, or what's his name, Harrison against Sale or something. And even that game yesterday, Harrison against Sale went 7. So 6.5. These aren't the pitchers to go 6.5 on. Our favorite team, the Phillies. This is the Sunday night game. We got the Phillies minus 167.8. Drew Peterson, 7.64 for the Mets. Zach Wheeler, 203. Here's a free game. Philadelphia. Gotta love the Phillies. And we'll go 3 units on them. Just looking at the ERA. So Philly minus 167.8. It's a bargain. It's not 200. David Peterson. His last 5. 5 innings, 1 run, 5 innings, 6 runs, 4 innings shutout, 3 innings, 6 runs, 3 innings, 3 runs. He goes 90, 80 pitches, 90 pitches, and then giving up 6 runs. And then 50 pitches and 4 innings shutout. And then 3 innings, he goes 60 pitches and 54. So this guy's kind of a pig. His ERA is 5.91. And Zach Wheeler, I know, is very good for the Phillies. And he won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row. Loss, win, loss, win. So he's 6, 7. He's 8-2 his last 10. Wheeler. Yeah, so he was 7-1. Now he's 8-2. A good old boy, Zach Wheeler. Last 5, last 6, last 7. 7 innings, 1 run, 7 innings shutout, 6 innings shutout, 6 innings 4, 7 innings 2, 6 innings 1, 6 innings shutout. Enough said. Free play. Take Philly. Philadelphia is always there for us. So we got Cincinnati with their ace on the mound, 3 units over the Yankees, and then we got Philly with not, I don't know, the ace is not Wheeler. Amazing enough, the ace is Sanchez, who won 15-3 yesterday. So there you go. It's 7:20, so you can make some money on that. The U.S. Open is on today. Who cares? I'll watch a little, but I'll go to the pool and watch it later. You really have nothing. I mean, it's there's no. I've never heard of the guy. The guy's won. The guy in the lead has actually won a U.S. Open. Never heard of him. I guess he's a crybaby. He's got like a counselor for anger. He's in anger management with John McEnroe and Jack Nicholson and Adam Sandler. So I watched that anger management with Adam Sandler. I love how they get McEnroe in those, and Bobby Knight was in it. But this guy apparently is in anger management. He can't control his emotions or his temper. I guess he did one, and he ruined a clubhouse. He goes inside where the clubhouse is, where they change, and the lockers, and he tore it apart. Now, one thing about golf's a gentleman's sport. Nicholas would ever do that? Arnold Palmer? Are you kidding me? Lee Trevino? They would never rip up that. This guy should not be allowed to play. If you're a crybaby like this, like Scooble, then you shouldn't be there. Now let's look at, I want to show you Mizorowski. Now, Miz refused to leave the game.
Miz stared down his manager and refused to give up the ball. Check this out. Miz stared down his manager and refused to give up the ball. Check this out.
Tell him to fuck off.
No. It was the 7th inning against the Rockies with the Brewers up 5-1. Miz gets the first out with a nasty 90-mile-an-hour curveball.
Look at that pitch.
Curveball, Julian's gone. He walks the next hitter. Check the swing.
That was a strike.
Didn't go. Pat Murphy's already getting nervous that Miz is losing it, but Miz turns to the dugout and gives him a little no. Like, I got this.
Before the at-bat started, Mizorowski looked into the dugout and started shaking his head inside that dugout. Like, hey, let me go do this.
Yeah, I mean, he's already with a short leash. He gives up a hit here, and Pat Murphy wants to pull him.
Into center field, over his Perkins. He'll field it on a bounce. Making the turn and going from first to third is Karros. That's the hardest hit ball of the night.
And the rest is iconic.
He's telling him, fuck off.
Look at Miz. He is telling the dugout, no. Miz wants to stay in this game.
Oh, yeah.
And watching him go back and forth with Murph.
Idiot manager.
Okay. This is great.
And Miz dug deep and caved the next 2 hitters on 7 pitches. This is absolute ace.
0-2. Strike 3 call. Got Mizorowski strikes out 3 in the 7th inning. He finishes with 8.
The opportunity to buy silver at both have.
Now that's the difference between a winner and a loser. Scuba would have come out, oh, I'm tired. Now, Mizorowski's throwing 102, 103 miles an hour, and those pitches were unhittable. I mean, he threw, those were like sliders that just moved in a little, and the batters, I don't know what they're looking at. There's 2 strikes, you've got to swing. But now we finally see Mizorowski. This is the first time I've actually saw him. He's like 6'5", 6'6", throws 103 miles an hour, and he's the MVP of the league, and he should win the Cy Young, and he's a winner. He doesn't want to come out of the game. The manager's got his head up his ass for trying to this. I'm the manager. He's pitching all 9 innings in that game. You got a 5-1 lead over Colorado. You got the game. You're in it until the end. So that's Mizorowski. Now we've seen him. We've seen our God. It is Mizorowski. But I just wanted to show you, Skubal would have not come out for the 7th, and he would have stayed in, and he would have cried, and he would have had his towel. I pitched 6 innings. I pitched 80 pitches. I'm done. I got my paycheck. And that's the difference. And that's why I bitch at Skubal, and that's why we love Mizorowski and players like him. Harrison, this guy Burns on Cincinnati, Skanes wouldn't have come out either. And that's the difference. Those are winners. That's who you want. You think the Tigers could trade Skubal for Mizorowski? Never in a million years. Or even Harrison, or the guy on Cincinnati today, or Skanes. There's no way they would trade those guys for Skubal. So Skubal is not all that. He's a baby. He's a quitter, and he's a loser. Mizorowski's a winner. Skanes is a winner. Skanes goes 105, 110 pitches just to get to 6 innings because they keep fouling him off because they want to get him out of the game because they can't hit him. That's how you know you're good, when they don't get you, when they want to get you out of the game, so they hit you. Anyway. I won't show you this, but Russia is very angry. I think I showed you where they were bombing Russia. Let me show you that again.
That successful hit on the drone. If I live in Moscow, I'm thinking, shit, I might have been living under the hell, or that my kids might have been at basketball practice there or something like that, or whatever.
This is the UA and Britain bombing Moscow.
Or whatever, but it is. These are dramatic.
Look at this. This is an oil refinery lit. Look at it blown up in the air. Look at that.
Right. So that's incredible. And that's been watched how many times on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, right?
We'll play it again.
But it's watching that. That successful hit on the drone. Yeah. But if I live in Moscow, I'm thinking, shit, I might have been living under the hell, or that my kids might have been at basketball practice there or something like that, or whatever they play in Moscow.
They play basketball.
Or whatever. But it is. These are dramatic.
Look at this. This is an oil refinery lit. Look at it blown up in the air. Look at that.
Right. So that's incredible. And that's been watched how many times on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, right?
I sent that to Daria because she probably can't see it. They kind of block a lot. So what this is Russia is very angry about that, and look for the retaliation that they're going to do on NATO, specifically Britain and Germany and whoever else was behind it. It wasn't Ukraine. The Ukraine's just a figurehead. It's the U.S. and it's MI6, It's James Bond and Mission Impossible against Russia. My money's on Putin. Anyway, so look for retaliation there. That's why I can't get a hold of Daria. They're just blocking the internet, so she can't even use Telegram to get a hold of me. Egon.
The opportunity to buy silver with both hands has now arrived. Let's have a look at gold. Gold is the king of the metals. If we're looking at the chart of gold for this century, gold has gone from $300 where we bought it for ourselves and for our investors, and it's now around $4,200, having been around $5,000. As you can see, gold had a correction, which has looked massive for some investors. But really, if you look at the move from the beginning of the century, or even if you look at the move in the last 2-3 years, gold has doubled in the last 2 years. To this correction, which is from an exponential move, remember. It's just a normal correction from a big move, and it is soon going to be retraced and go to multiples of the current levels. So please don't worry about the correction. If you don't have enough gold, buy it now and keep it for the long term, because gold is going to go up by multiples from here.
Wondering where to invest?
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself. So again, in baseball, we're looking at free picks. Cincinnati with their ace on the mound, and Philadelphia with not their ace, but Zach Wheeler with a 2 ERA going against the Pig for whoever the hell they're playing. The Mets with their 7 ERA pitcher. They beat them 13-2 yesterday. We'll take 10-2 today. And see, when you have the pitching matchup, you bet the teams. When you have 2 good pitchers or 2 bad pitchers is when I bet the totals. John C., hello. Happy Father's Day. So those are your 2 free plays. I'm going to go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 plays. 12:23. When is the first game, Batman? First game's at 1:35. So let me do my email to my customers. Gold will start at about 6:30 tonight. You can check China back on the ball. All right, just a second. This will just take about a minute. All right, let's see. Just 1 second. All right. So sorry about that. So again, your free picks, Cincinnati and Philadelphia, 3-unit plays. So they're good plays. The regulars, 2 units. It's baseball. I can't really get crazy. We see Scanes lose yesterday. So you got to be careful with baseball. It's every day. They're playing and they get tired and little injuries, and it's a little different. But I do have 3, 6. I have 11 plays, $25 for the week. Gets you all the plays. Again, why do I play so many plays? Because there's the matchups. You have shit pitchers going. You're going to bet the game over. You have a good pitcher against a shit pitcher like Cincinnati. You're going to play Cincinnati or Philadelphia. So it's all based on the teams and the pitching. And each game is independent. And if there's shit pitchers, I'm going to go over. And if there's good pitchers, I'm going to go under. But each game's, yesterday I gave you 2 free games and there was still the Scanes game and a couple others that, spaghetti for Houston and stuff like that. So you still have, each team's got good pitchers. It's sort of like college football. We analyze and figure out each team. So we know like the good Sun Belt team and the good Big Ten team and the good SEC team. And then, they're playing against a weak team. We end up with 10, 12 picks because the matchups are right there. Hey, this is a good bet. This is a good bet. That's how I pick 75% because you learn the teams and then you look at each team and it's just whatever is out there. There could be 5 games, could be 10 games. Today, there's 11 games in baseball where they're good picks. Burns for Cincinnati. What am I going to not play him? Or Zach Wheeler, I'm not going to play him. Those are gifts from the gods. You got to play those. So you just look at it, and at the end of the day, we made 3 units or 5 units yesterday, and that's the bottom line is what you end up making. All right. I was watching this video. This is what always happens before a financial crash. This guy's an idiot. I would not recommend this guy. He kind of explains it, but he doesn't explain it. He kind of says this is what happened. Like he talks about the stock crash, but he doesn't explain it. Most of the problems, why countries fail from Rome to France to Spain is because of inflation. Because let's say you're a rich guy and you got $5 million in monopoly money, or if you're in Euro, one of the mafia guys in Italy, you're rich because you have a lot of this. But when the money goes to zero and you inflate it and it loses all its value, you're poor. And whoever's got the gold is now rich and they become the master and you're now the slave because your money, even though you have a lot of it, like the French franc, when you had Les Miserables and Napoleon and everything in the late 1700s, the money was worthless. He went to get the oil and natural resources in Russia. That's why he went to Russia, because they were broke. Does it sound familiar? Oh, that's why the U.S. is in Venezuela, Iran, and Russia, countries that have a lot of oil. Yeah, we're going there to steal their oil because we're broke. And he can say stable coin and it'll be backed by the dollar, but the dollar has no value. So it's just an illusion. They're just, the key is when there's no demand for the dollar, it loses value, as we've talked about, right? No demand for my Canadian club, it's worthless. But if I have demand, it's got a value. And the US dollar has no demand. Nobody wants treasuries because there's a $40 trillion debt. And that's just in the treasuries. There's like $100 trillion debt for everything, for pensions and other factors in the US. So it's really $100 trillion, not 40. That's just what we own, the bondholders. And so we'll watch a little of this, but I want to get into people that want to do this. This is what happens before, and they're really just, this guy can't explain it, right? He says this is what happens, but he misses well, why did it happen? And this is the problem. We got idiots like this guy. There was another one. If you don't understand bonds, you don't understand money. Bonds are just IOUs, but they're all missing the point. It's when you print your money to zero, that's it. The shit hits the fan. There's nothing, they never really get into it. They don't really understand inflation and the money printing and the money being worthless. They don't really get that point. They talk about kind of, well, this happened, so the stock market crashed. Well, no, they don't. Here, we'll share a few minutes of this idiot.
This AI can forecast U.S.
But
stock
this is
prices
what you've
to
got
the
to.
penny. This is where it says Nvidia stock will close.
Everyone was a genius because what triggers a global recession?
Okay, this guy does not know.
What is it that causes a downturn that
We
goes
wanna
beyond a mere
pick 'em
stock market
apart.
crash and turns into a full-on financial crisis? Like in 2008, when mortgage-backed securities caused the biggest housing bubble the world had ever seen, and when it burst, caused housing prices to plummet by as much as 40%.
See, but he doesn't explain what happened. People got loans that shouldn't have loans, that couldn't afford it, that had bad credit. That's why it collapsed, because you got everybody and their mother getting a house with no income and a very bad credit score. And then, of course, they couldn't pay their loan. See, that's the point he misses, is the why. Well, because you gave credit to people that shouldn't have got it, and they couldn't pay their mortgages. And of course, then it went out. You have other people buying 5-6 houses as if it was a stock. And then when it crashed, they dumped 5 houses onto the market. And this is the point. When you have that, you've got to understand the reason for the crash. People should never have gotten the loans for the mortgages in the first place. And that goes back to Jimmy Clinton in the 1990s saying everybody should own a house. So we're going to force the banks to loan you money to buy a house, which of course, anytime government gets involved, you're fucked. All right.
3% in some markets and caused 6 million people to lose their homes. Or consider the Great Depression, which left 1 in 4 Americans unemployed, led to widespread homelessness, and created the conditions for a world war, the deadliest in history. But most crashes don't come out of nowhere. The fear of waking up with your investments dropping and your savings at risk, it's real, but this has happened before, and there are clear warning signs that show up before the financial crisis hits. From stock market bubbles to bank collapses, history offers clues that we can look for to avoid being caught off guard. So in this video, I'll show you 4 warning signs that always show up when a financial meltdown is on the horizon, and what smart investors can do to prepare based on what the data says is happening right now. So to understand the patterns of a financial crisis, let's start with one of the oldest crashes on record. Now, to be clear here, there is a clear difference between a mere stock market crash or a bubble in asset prices and a full-on financial crisis, one that melts down into a global recession or depression. And we're focusing on the latter. So we're going to start in 1720 in Europe, where 2 financial disasters are brewing that will send stock prices plummeting, kickstart a revolution in France, and take over 100 years to see real economic growth again. Because the psychology that drives financial crises, it hasn't changed in 300 years. And we'll work our way forward through the biggest financial downturns of history to find the patterns that go way beyond the latest news cycle. So it's 1720. Britain and France are 2 of the strongest countries in the world. It's a time of empire and colonies. But there's a problem. Years of expensive wars and rampant overspending have left both governments buried in debt. Their solution? In Britain, they start the South Sea Company to control trade in the South Sea and with parts of America. In France, it's the Mississippi Company, managing trade with France's colony along the Mississippi River. And they promised investors that if they just traded in government debt for shares in these companies, everyone could get rich off the new frontier in America. It was the ultimate speculative investment of the 18th century. And for a while, it kind of worked. Money flooded into the market, and soon the boom took on a life of its own. South Sea Company shares climbed roughly 8-fold in a single year. The Mississippi Company in France saw its value rise 10x in around 6 months. And to show you how crazy this got, this is a chart of the biggest companies in history using $2025. Here's the Mississippi Company, here's the South Sea Company, and here is Apple. They were way bigger. These companies now made up effectively a big chunk of the government as well as the economy. So new companies started popping up trying to cash in on all the excitement. Here were some that started in England. We had one company that popped up for trading in hair and another one for carrying on an undertaking of great advantage, but nobody to know what it is. Okay, yeah, that doesn't sound sketchy at all. But incredibly, people still invested. Even Sir Isaac Newton, you know, one of the most famous scientists of all time, he put a bunch of money into these companies in 1719. Here's the actual note where he signed his name. Now, if you've watched my other video on stock market crashes, this all just kind of looks like a bubble. And that's true. So far it is. But remember, we're not looking for what causes stocks to crash. We're looking for what turns a crash into a financial crisis. And the first major warning sign is much bigger than just falling stock prices. It's a loss of confidence, where all at once, the belief in the system itself shifts.
Do you want to know what?
So what's he missing? Inflation, money printing. Because of the money printing, people were scared and they thought they could make money buying these stocks. But it goes right over his head. It's the inflation. It's the printing of the money for the wars. Again, wars are very expensive. Where you keep printing and printing and printing the money. Now, France did have gold back then. They were the leading power. And then England took it over in like 1814, I believe. So France had the gold. Instead of just being happy, go to war, print more money. The money's worthless. People try to get out of it and they buy stock. Sound familiar? It's happening now. Stock market today is at 51,000. Is the real value of all these companies 51,000? Not a chance. That's why it's going to crash, because it's not real. The government prints money and puts it into the stock market instead of the bonds and say, look at the stock market. And everybody thinks, oh, the economy's great. The economy sucks. But it's the confidence. It's kind of, but why do we lose confidence? Because they print the money to death. So we haven't lost confidence in the dollar. We know it's worthless. So he's a little bit off with the confidence thing. It's not about the confidence. It's about the supply demand for the money. It's about the money being printed to death, which it is. And we know that. So what do? We're smarter than the average bear. We go buy gold and silver. And we say, fuck off. We're going to buy gold and silver. You can buy your stocks, but they're not going to work. And what they should have done in France and England was buy gold and not buy stocks. So everybody piles in because everybody tells two friends and they all buy these stocks. Do they have the earnings for it? No. Did the war stop? No. Napoleon went to Waterloo, right? So, and guess who was fighting against them? The British. So it was the British and the Russians against the French in Waterloo. Waterloo is in Russia. Napoleon goes there because he needs oil and natural resources because they're broke. Sound familiar? Yeah, let's see. The U.S. is fighting Russia now for their oil and natural resources. We went to Venezuela to steal their oil. We're in Iran to steal their oil and gold. Right off the same playbook. The same morons are doing the same thing they shouldn't be doing. And this is the problem. Now, does this kid understand it and explain it? No. He says loss of confidence, but he doesn't say Why they lost confidence?
You should buy this $40 AI stock. It's a pre-IPO back.
Fuck off.
Confidence, where all at once the belief in the system itself shifts.
Why?
Eventually, investors in England and France started asking some uncomfortable questions. The press was controlled, but people still talked. Were these profits actually real? And were these companies worth anywhere close to the prices that people were paying for them? It seemed like the business now to get more investors, not to actually make money trading goods.
Oh, a Ponzi
And look,
scheme.
Isaac Newton himself reportedly sold for an early profit of around £7,000, but he watched prices continue rising, his friends making money, and then he doubled back down near the top with a £20,000 investment. That's the equivalent of around £6 million today. Inflation data doesn't go back quite that far, but it just shows how tempting these bubbles can be to invest in. But like every bubble, eventually it had to burst. And when it did, it hit hard. The market peaked in July 1720. And then it started falling. By Christmas, it had given up almost all its gains, and fortunes disappeared overnight. After losing...
So it's the same thing. If they would have bought gold and silver, nobody would lose anything. But everybody gets into the speculation. These companies aren't real, just like now. You think NVIDIA is going to produce anything? Oh, we'll have $2 trillion in sales. Bullshit. Nobody... How does AI help your company? It doesn't. It's like Excel. How did Excel cut your cost? It didn't. It helped the employees work faster, but it didn't cut costs. AI will not cut costs. You're going to fire your employees, and there goes your business. Your business is going to go out because you need the employees. AI could never do what I'm doing. Okay? So if you replace me with AI, good luck. It'll never work. And that's what is the problem here. So if AI, you think AI is going to be good, it's not. But again, he doesn't explain this. He just, the stock market crashed. Why did it crash? Because they didn't have earnings, or people should have been in gold and silver and not in stocks, which is what I warn you about today. You don't want to be in the stock market because it will collapse. And then you're fucked. And if your retirement is in the stock market, you're fucked. You won't be able to retire because if you need money, what are you going to do? However, the one thing that's never collapsed is gold and silver because you can't print it. It comes out of the ground and that's it. And it's very limited and very highly in demanded. And guess who knows this is BRICS? Russia, China, India, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, South Africa, Brazil, and Dubai, I think I said, in Saudi, they all understand this. They're not in the stock market. They're in gold and silver. China has 80,000 tons of gold. They know what's going to happen. We know what's going to happen. The boat's going to sink, the Titanic, so get off the fucking boat. And that's what you need to do is get off the boat and you get into the lifeboat, which is gold and silver. So had these people in France been in gold and silver, they wouldn't have lost a penny. They would have made money. But he doesn't explain that because he doesn't know. So this is a guy trying to they lost confidence. Well, why? See, I hate when people don't explain things. Right? That's why I make sure I do. He doesn't explain why the stocks went down. He doesn't explain if they were in gold, they would have made money. Nope. All he says is, they lost confidence. Why? That's the key answer he needs to do, but he doesn't. So let's watch a little bit more of this idiot.
A big chunk of his fortune, Newton famously said, "I can predict the motion of heavenly bodies, but not the madness of people." But even then, the damage here would go far beyond just wealthy investors losing money. See, this stock crash, like all of them, started with a loss of confidence. People didn't believe in the value of the assets. But a financial crisis is different. In a financial crisis, people lose confidence in institutions. Suddenly, investors weren't just questioning the companies, they were questioning the banks, the government, and the people managing the economy itself. The consequences lasted far longer than the stock crash itself. Britain eventually recovered, but the financial strain wouldn't help with the unrest in their colonies. But in France, the damage lasted for decades. They had been a leader in financial innovation with the world's first paper currency, but they gave up on that and any financial innovation for their remaining time as an empire. And many historians draw a line between the loss of financial confidence here with the instability that would eventually lead to the French Revolution. So a total loss of trust in...
He's way off the mark. It's the inflation. The dollar went to zero, or in this case, the French franc. It went to zero. You inflated the shit out of it. England did that in like 1790. They printed a billion French francs and dumped them in Paris. And that ended it. And it's got nothing to do with confidence. It's got to do with your money's worthless and you can't feed the people. And you had Robespierre and a few other guys who were evil destroying your money. If you have solid money, gold, you can't destroy it. And you're rich. And as soon as, so what happened? Britain, why did Britain come in? Because they went to gold. They went to the gold standard in 1814. So France had it in the 1700s. They were the number one team. They were the Alabama until they printed all their gold, went to war, and Napoleon lost at Waterloo. And that was their swan song. It's the bye-bye blues for them because their money went to shit. It's got nothing to do with confidence. It's I'm broke because the money, let's get the wheelbarrows out. That's not confidence. That's reality. My money I can't buy bread. That's what you see in Les Miserables, the French Revolution, 1790 or whatever. And there's no bread. There's no food. People are starving because the money's worthless. And they attack the rich, and the military, puts them down, except for John, who sings a song or two. And that's what it is. And then the British got the gold, and then they were number one until World War II came, and they needed to buy weapons. And the U.S. said, oh, you want to buy weapons? We want it in gold. And so they bought our weapons for gold, and then they lost their gold, and they lost their number one status. They were no longer Alabama, and then the U.S. took it. And now we don't have the gold. China's got it. BRICS has got it. BRICS is smart enough, China, Russia, India, to say, fuck it, we'll take the gold because we know that's the key. It's got nothing to do with confidence. It's got to do with you bankrupt your money is worthless. You bankrupt your money. You printed it. You overprinted it. France did it. The British dumped the French francs into Paris. The money was worthless. It's got nothing to do with confidence. It's got everything to do with having real money or fake money. And as soon as your money's worthless, what are you going to do? Oh, we'll come out with a new French franc that is it backed by gold? No. Well, then fuck off. And that's where John Law comes in, as we talked yesterday with Pat. John Law came in to save France, and he just came out with a new currency, printed it to death, didn't use gold-backed currency or gold standard, and it lasted 7 months, and then they were broke. And since they lost their gold, that's why France hasn't come back. And you'd think France would be smart enough to go on the gold standard, but they keep wanting to print money. France is a very strange country, a lot of protests, and they don't have gold, and it's very strange there. But anyway, does this guy explain it? No. Does he explain inflation once? No. He says it's confidence. It's not. It's you're broke. The money's worthless. So you don't have confidence in your government. Does anybody have confidence in our government? Really? We're broke. You've printed the money to death. You have a $40 trillion debt. You have a $100 trillion debt when you include other private things besides your bonds. You can't pay it back. The dollar's gone. It's worthless. What do you think's going to happen? So is it about trust? No, it's about we're broke. And Trump wants to make it song and a dance. No, we're fine. We're gonna have stable coin, and it'll be backed by the dollar, so we'll remain the reserve currency. What does that mean? What does reserve currency mean? Gold's the reserve currency. It's always been the reserve currency from Roman time to today, gold is always the reserve currency because you can't print it and you can't ruin it as they printed the French franc, the British pound, the dollar, Spain, Amsterdam, all of it is the same playbook. We print the money, the inflation, we go to war, war is expensive. The inflation eats up the value of the dollar and the country collapses because they're broke. They always collapse broke. Every country, Rome, on Spain, Dutch Indies, the Dutch East India Company, France, England, US, it's all the same. You become broke because you print money where it has no value. It's not about confidence. It's about your money. You're fucked. It's worthless. That's what it's about. Because this guy, way over his head. And then there was this thing here. I'm looking at the comments. You'll love this one. As a 25-year vet of financial services, a CFP, a VP for a mutual fund company, and now a college professor, I have to say you hit a home run here. Well researched and fantastic production. Bravo. And so I had to stick my 2 cents in. He never explains the why, and he's wrong in every scenario. You must explain France fell. It was inflation, why the Fed caused the collapse of every country. It's inflation. Buy gold to survive. Try another video, the teaser king, me. He explains all, not like this guy. And here's one. When governmental institutions safeguards are allowed to be manipulated by greed, then history will repeat. Well, it's not by greed. It's just they don't know. The government comes in and they print the money and it becomes worthless. The government really has no idea. They're wanting to print the money and keep it for themselves, sort of like what Warren Buffett does and Gates and all these idiots in the Congress and the Senate here and Trump. They all print the money and put it in their pocket, not realizing it's worthless. Warren Buffett has $20 billion. It's worthless. It's worth zero, but he's too stupid to understand that. Anyway, so that was my 2 cents on there. So again, this guy, the question is, this always happens before a financial crisis. The money goes to zero. It's inflated to nothing. The countries print. They get off of gold. They print the money becomes worthless. That's why you have a financial crisis. Do you ever hear me talk about bubbles? Bubbles have nothing to do with it. It's about the money. It's about the country going broke is what happens. And we are this close for broke. And you guys ask me, when's it going to happen? And I go, I can't give you a date, but I know it's like the Titanic. We know it's going to sink because the water is coming in the ship. The Titanic will sink, but I can't give you the exact time. We will sink. We will be broke. The dollar is worthless. Hence, to get into the lifeboat, you get into gold and silver. That's the only thing you can get into because it is the lifeboat. You can't print it. It can't be sunk. You can't sink gold and silver. You can sink the dollar by printing it. You can't do that with gold and silver. They try with COMEX by printing the paper, which is why I always differentiate the paper gold and silver price versus the physical. You cannot sink the physical. You can only sink the paper. The paper will sink soon, but not the physical. The physical will go to the moon because as the dollar goes out, everybody will be looking for lifeboats. And there's only two, gold and silver are the only two lifeboats you can have. It's got nothing to do with confidence. It's got everything to do with the realization that the dollar is worthless.
Institutions and increasing polarization and conflict following a major financial crisis, well, that's a good way to summarize the first pattern, loss of confidence. But this is also one of the last warning signs to appear. By the time people stop trusting the system, the crisis is usually already underway. So now we're going to look at a pattern that appears as a much earlier domino in the chain. Now, when we look at all of this in the context of today, it's easy to get freaked out by the potential of a market crash turning into something worse. And one of the things that I've learned from investing is that having knowledge is not the same thing as having perspective. Because during every financial crisis, people convinced themselves that they were making rational decisions right up until the moment that they weren't. But honestly, that doesn't just happen in markets, that's just human nature. And that's why outside perspective can be so valuable, and therapy is one tool that can help with that.
Oh
I've recently
my
started
God,
working
really?
with a therapist myself from this video
This guy's
sponsor,
a fucking
BetterHelp.
lunatic.
And one thing I've appreciated is
like
just
he's a-
having someone there to help me think through situations
Oh
more
my
clearly.
God.
I mean, to be honest, I've had some pretty big life transitions recently, and having someone there to of therapy. The link is betterhelp.com/fintech. That's
Can you
fintech
believe
with
this
a K.
shit?
And thank you,
The guy's
BetterHelp,
psychotic
for
and he's
supporting this
doing a
channel and allowing
financial
me to
video.
continue making
Oh
videos
my
like
God.
this.
Hello, my name is Adam Ferrari, Chief Executive Officer of Phoenix Energy. I look forward to you.
Continue making videos like this. But now, let's jump ahead nearly 2 centuries to a financial panic that helped shape modern banking and show us the second pattern for financial crises. The year is now 1907, America. Teddy Roosevelt is president, and the United States is transforming at a breathtaking pace. Railroads are connecting the country, factories.
By the way, we're on the gold standard at this time until 1914 when the Fed takes us off the gold standard.
Are producing more goods than ever. Telephones are replacing telegraphs, shrinking the distance between places. It feels like the future is arriving all at once. And if that sounds familiar, it should. Because if you dig into the history like these 2 books do, you'll see that one of the earliest warning signs of every financial crisis is some form of major new innovation. Could be a new technology, a new type of company, or a new type of financial product. So in 1720, the South Sea Company was a new innovation, a new type of company. But in 1907, the new innovation was the trust company. Now, trust companies, also called trusts, weren't banks exactly, at least not officially. They had fewer restrictions on the money they held, and they could take on more risk. Wall Street loved them because they could move quickly and invest in different companies. And customers loved them because if they gave their money to a trust, they would pay back much higher interest rates than any normal bank account ever would. And for years, everything seemed to be working out. Business was booming. I mean, you can see it in this chart. This is a chart of the US's entire economic history. Here in 1800, the only stocks on the market were banks. This orange section is made up of finance companies. Then trains got added, steamships, this yellow part here. But look what happens between 1875 and 1905. The diversity in the markets explodes. Now you have real estate, utilities, energy companies, consumer staples. By 1905, you basically have an early version of what looks like the economy today. Yes, the ratios will keep changing over time, but besides IT and computer infrastructure, all the modern industries are pretty much there in 1905. But with all this incredible growth, a bigger and bigger chunk of it was being funded by these trusts. And investors became increasingly confident taking on bigger and bigger risks because the news was always good. And that's the thing about new innovations. They often work so well that people stop questioning what happens if they fail. Then the cracks started appearing. See, the trusts weren't super strict about who they worked with. In October 1907, 2 wealthy speculators, Augustus Hines and Charles Morse, tried to corner the copper market using massive loans from New York's 3rd largest trust, the Knickerbocker Trust Company. The scheme failed spectacularly, and when it got to the press, questions spread throughout the financial system. Now accelerated by telegraphs and telephone technology. Investors around the country could now wonder which institutions were exposed to this scheme and how much risk was really sitting there below the surface with our money. It reached a tipping point and confidence flipped, and we know what that means. Customers rushed to withdraw money as the trust companies faced runs. Institutions that looked stable a few weeks earlier suddenly appeared very vulnerable. The national banks started raising interest rates because they had loaned money to the trust as well, and they wanted their money back. This chart shows how loan interest rates spiked to over 100%. Imagine getting a mortgage that charges you 100% interest per year. So lending was at a standstill, and the panic of 1907 was set to become the worst financial crisis in the US's history. But what happened next reshaped the way the American economy works, and it gives us an insight into a different path that can follow a financial crisis. See, the situation became so serious that JP Morgan himself, yes, the same guy the big bank is named after, had to come out of retirement. He gathered the heads of all the big banks and trusts into one room and literally locked them inside until they agreed to use their own money to bail out the failing trusts. And it kind of worked. Interest rates started to settle down, and this lender of last resort restored confidence in the system. The government saw what happened, and they realized the system was too important to rely on a bunch of bankers getting together again, leading to the creation of the Federal Reserve, which would become...
So the guy misses, how many points does he miss this 1907 crash? I'll have to read up on it, but it wasn't, they tried to corner the copper market and that the confidence was lost. There's more to it than that. He cannot explain what happened. He just says it crashed. Well, yeah, we could see it crash, but why? It had to be, it's hard to say inflation because we're on the gold standard until 1914. When the Fed came in, we got off the gold standard, and that ruined the country. We've never recovered from the Federal Reserve in 1914, taking us off gold and charging us income tax. That's where income tax came from. We didn't pay income tax in 1907. So people got on the trust trying to make money, and these trust companies probably did Madoffs and collapse, and people had their money and took it out. And it's probably the same things. I think Bobby is on a gold boat. Well, he should be, or a silver boat. Bobby listened. He got into, I don't know how much gold he got, but I know he got into silver, and he would sleep on it. I remember that. But we'll see. We'll probably hear from Bobby, college football, LSU. Did he go to LSU? It doesn't say college. New York, New York, home, New York, New York. 1986 Leaf. Roberto Martin Antonio Bonilla. We'll call him Bobby. It doesn't list college, at least on this card. But I know he's an LSU guy. Anyway, so you can see what happened in 1907. I'll read up and get you the real thing. He calls it, he just blankets it over with confidence. This is the problem with people like this. They don't understand. So it's a lack of confidence. Well, why did they lack confidence? Now, this is a hard one, 1907, because you're on the gold standard. So you could not have had inflation. You cannot inflate gold. So these trusts were probably doing something and printing a lot and just a Ponzi scheme. Is my guess. It was a Ponzi scheme, but I'll dig into that. So we got a clear answer. Federal Reserve's the worst thing that happened to the country. It destroyed us. It added income tax, which took money away from everybody. See, if you have $100, you're going to spend it better than the government. But if you have $100, now you got to pay $30 in tax on your 100, and it goes to the government, then you cause a depression. All right, a little bit more of this guy.
The lender of last resort for the U.S. economy. So a new innovation to solve a crisis partly caused by a new innovation. So that's the second pattern before a financial crisis, a new innovation that reshapes the economy. The innovation itself,
I don't know what the fuck he's talking about, new innovation. What new innovation? I mean, that's not what causes it. It's the inflation is what causes all the problems. The money printing. It's the government raising taxes. The government creates all this mess. The whole 1930 depression, 1930s to 1945, was caused by FDR raising taxes, getting us off of gold, government spending, all this crap, mostly inflation, unemployment, that high unemployment. That's what causes it. It's got nothing to do with an innovation. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
Usually isn't the problem. Railroads changed the world, electricity changed the world, internet changed the world, and who knows, maybe modern technology will change the world. The danger becomes when investors, businesses, and institutions rely on a new innovation that hasn't been tested yet under stress.
There is a place in the hills.
Okay, that's it. It's enough of this guy. Again, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's jumping to bad conclusions. Innovations, computers didn't hurt the country. What caused the 2008 crisis was Clinton saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to give everybody a mortgage." That's what he's saying. These new innovations do not cause anything. I honestly don't get what he's talking about. It's meaningless. At the end of the day, it's printing the money to zero. That's what happened in France and England and here. And new innovations, again, 1907, I don't know what these trust companies were. They're kind of banks that give more interest. They give a better interest rate. And there was obviously corruption, and they obviously printed money and whatever. Back then, all the banks could print money. When the Federal Reserve came in, the big problem with them is they were the monopoly for printing money. Only they could print the money, not any bank. So if a bank inflated, they had competition, you would pull your money from ABC Bank to the YZX Bank, and they didn't inflate their money. That's how it worked, and it was backed by gold. But once you got the Fed, they were the monopoly on printing money. So, and this whole thing with the Federal Reserves, because all the banks are going to go broke. So that's why they came up with the Fed as a way to keep their money and to save themselves. All right. So enough of this guy. This is my problem.
There is a place in the hills of Tennessee that the government used to call the Secret City.
It hasn't been tested yet under stress. So now we have two of our patterns, but this next one is arguably the biggest difference maker between a normal stock market crash and one that spreads to the entire economy. So let's now look at the two biggest financial crises in American history to understand the next two patterns. Now we need to jump to 1929, because the Great Depression can teach us a lot about what separates a painful market downturn from a financial crisis. After all, the dot-com bubble wiped out trillions of dollars, thousands of companies disappeared, and the NASDAQ fell nearly 80%, yet we didn't see a Great Depression from that, or even a recession until after 2008. Well, to answer that, we need to start a few years before, in the Roaring '20s. So if the 1900s were the rise, the 1920s were the ultimate boom for the American economy. We now had industrialized goods, electricity, and radios were widespread. The pace of change was so fast that many people genuinely believed we had entered a completely new era with new rules. And honestly, they weren't entirely wrong. The rules were changing kind of like they are today. And as the economy grew, so did stock prices. The Dow Jones Industrial Average increased nearly 5x during the decade. Newspapers were celebrating this as a new age of prosperity, and economists argued that modern industry had fundamentally changed how the economy works. There was even one famous economist, Irving Fisher, even declared that stocks had reached a new permanent high and they would not be dropping from there. But at the same time, there was something happening below the surface. If trust companies had allowed people to invest in stocks kind of at arm's length by putting their money there and getting higher interest rates, the 1920s turbocharged that with the investment trust. There's that new innovation pattern we've been looking for. This was basically a corporation set up specifically to invest your money in stocks. But they didn't stop there. The trusts also borrowed money against all their assets to invest even more in stocks. And then their customers started borrowing money to invest in them. You just had debt stacked on top of debt, stacked on top of debt. And so as long as prices kept on rising, it was a money printing machine. But all this debt had to come from somewhere. And this is where we find the big difference, because yes, stock prices were high, and even without these investment trusts, they probably would have declined eventually. But now the financial system itself had become deeply reliant on that drop never happening. Banks, lenders, financial institutions were now all exposed to the risk of the stock market dropping. And that's a very different situation from just a normal market bubble. Soon the excitement spread everywhere. Shoe shiners started telling people what stocks to buy. Taxi drivers gave stock tips. Everyone was a genius because everyone was making money as the market was all moving in only one direction. One little girl from Kansas even mailed in $4 trying to buy a share in Standard Oil. And readers of a newspaper were so moved by their story that they all pulled together some money to buy her a share, and they mailed it out to her. But it couldn't last forever, and eventually the selling started.
Why is Amazon paying me $20,000 a month? Well, I didn't make this kind of money selling yoga.
Couldn't last forever, and eventually the selling started. At first, it wasn't catastrophic. I mean, markets had fallen before. But unlike in many previous crashes, the drop didn't stay contained to just the stock market. Because all the banks and financial institutions had all their money loaned out to investors, as stocks started to drop, that started putting pressure on the system. A bank would say, hey, I see that you've lost money on Coca-Cola. I'm going to need you to sell all your other shares to make up the difference. But then that pushes all the other stock prices down, triggering more margin calls, where a bank forces you to sell some of your stocks to cover a debt that you owe them. Pretty soon, it became clear that there wasn't enough money lying around to pay back all these loans. And when that happened, we saw a sudden and total loss of confidence in the system. There's that pattern again. Prices started falling faster. Loans went bad, banks started weakening, and it got to the point where you had these perfectly healthy, profitable businesses, but suddenly they had to fire everyone and let them go, not because the business failed, but because
Okay, that's it. All right, that's okay. It was the Smooth-Hurley Tariff Act, which created higher prices on tariffs, which people couldn't pay, and it killed the market. That's what the Depression was about, not a confidence thing in the stock market. And I'll add my 2 cents. This guy is clueless. It's inflation and tariffs that cause depressions and collapse. All right, that's enough of this guy. See, so he doesn't tell you the reason. Did he mention Smooth-Hurley Tariff Act? No, that's what caused the depression. He keeps calling it confidence and lack of confidence. It's total bullshit. If you understand what's going on, it's got nothing to do. We didn't lose confidence in the government. We never had confidence in it. We didn't lose confidence in the dollar. They printed the dollar to zero. We know the gold and silver are the safe play because they can't print it. So it's got nothing to do with confidence and everything to do with we know what the fuck's going on, and we're running to the lifeboat, which is what we've been doing since 2021, as I showed you yesterday. So that's the key to it. So people watching this, I don't know that you get anything out of it. If I'm not here narrating, I don't know that you get anything that this guy's saying, except for he's saying loss of confidence. Why did we lose confidence? Oh, because there was inflation and the money went bankrupt? Yeah, that would make things lose confidence. So it's stuff like that where he's terrible at explaining. And that's what we have. So anyway, with that, your baseball pick, Cincinnati over the Yankees, Philadelphia over whoever the fuck they're playing. I think it's the Jets's. And I was watching this old game. I think it was 66 Jets, and they were playing. It was a good game. They were playing Kansas City. So it was Hank and Lenny going against Joe Namath, and they were wearing green, and it was a good game. I think KC was winning 29-7, so I turned it off. It was one of these half-hour games, but they have different, like, it's the game of the week. So this one was Namath against Len Dawson, which would have been a good game. Very good game to bet on. Anyway, so again, the more we understand, we bet baseball understanding who's pitching because we figured out pitching's the key. It's not like we lost confidence. We figured out that the key is the pitcher. Paul Skenes going to shut you down, and he might not win every game, but it's going to be, you're not scoring a lot on him. Just like Sanchez, just like Mizorowski, just like I keep looking, Harrison and all these other guys. The guy in the Reds today, you just understand, you problem solve the game. Hey, if it's a real good pitcher, they're probably not going to be able to hit him. You saw Mizorowski throw those 2 strikeouts. They didn't even swing. It was like, yeah, I think I'm just going to go back to the dugout now and have a beer because there's no fucking way I'm hitting this guy. And that's who controls it. But a bad pitcher is the other way. They're going to hit the hell out of the bad pitcher. Even though they're minor league players, most teams have 3 or 4 major league hitters and 4 or 5 minor league hitters, like the Tigers. They have very few major league hitters. Most of them are minor league hitters. And so when they face a bad pitcher, they can hit them enough. But when they face a really good pitcher, he'll strike out the good hitters, and the bad hitters have no chance. And that's why the Tigers, they're all up for a walk and a high pitch count because they can't hit them. And that's what they're doing to Skenes. They can't hit them, so they try to hit foul balls. Maybe they can do that. And that's all it is. How he loses is beyond me, how Skenes loses. He should win every game. Anyway, so that's what's going on. So be careful who you listen to. It sounded like a good presentation. I thought I'd watch, but I made it a negative, and I give them my 2 cents and say, this guy's out of his fucking mind. He's not close. It's inflation, which causes you to lose confidence, which you don't even really lose confidence. We didn't lose confidence in the government. We never had confidence. We know they're full of shit because we know every government's full of shit. France, England, Rome, Nero's burning the city down. Yeah. So government is really the problem. And how you ever have confidence in the government is beyond me. They've ruined every country in the history of the world. There's never one that's done well. I'd say China and Russia are probably the best governments now because they're on the gold standard and the government understands it. And BRICS is probably the first form of government that actually understands, hey, we can't go broke. It's simple. You go broke, and the country goes under. If you're on gold, you don't go broke. So normally they start on gold, Spain, France, England, Rome. They start with the gold, but for some reason they get off the gold and then they go broke, and they can't understand how the Roman Empire collapsed. You went broke. How the U.S. Empire collapsed, the one we're in now. You're broke. How can we be broke? We're the reserve currency. Because you printed $100 trillion and you have a $40 trillion debt. You're fucking broke. You have no gold. Well, I think we have it. I love when Luke argues, I think we have it. Okay, based on what, Luke? Well, I don't know. Peter Schiff said we have it, so I believe him. That's really where the problems lie, is people assuming we have it. In my case is, well, if we had it, we'd play it. We'd make gold 100,000 an ounce. We'd pull out 8,000 tons. We'd pay off our debt. And we wouldn't be broke, because once you're broke, the country's gone. When the country has gold and it has money, the country is good. So you want to be the Alabama, the number one, you have gold. So guess who's number one now? China and Russia. They're your number ones. India's close, and then Dubai and Saudi Arabia are rich because of the oil. Iran's rich because of their oil. And the U.S. is trying to fight it because we're broke. And we realize we're broke. And that's why we're in all these wars to steal the oil and the gold and the diamonds. And we can't, because they're rich and they can afford the weapons and say, fuck off. So anyway, Trump did not sign anything of any power as far as ending the war. The war is not over. Never should have started. I love when they say, well, we're doing it for Israel. Why would we do it for Israel? Is Israel going to pay us? So maybe Israel was going to give us gold and now they reneged on it. It's the only reason I would think we're fighting for Israel, because it's too stupid otherwise. Anyway, so that's it. So we did our baseball, gold and silver. What can I say? The physicals were 10 times, 20 times more. It keeps going down because it's paper. This Johnstown or whatever it's called, John's City, what is it? James Street. It's a money market. It's a market maker. So as people sell, they buy. So they're buying the sell, which is forcing the price down. But when they have to deliver the gold, they can't. They're going to go broke. And we're going to end COMEX because nobody wants to use it. No demand. It's gone. It's there to keep prices down. That was in the 70s, not now. There's no reason to keep the price down. Well, that way you won't lose confidence in the dollar. Nobody has confidence in the dollar. Only people that are idiots that don't know what they're doing want to be in the stock market. I'll be in the stock market. That's safe. Yeah, it won't collapse. 1929, 2000, 2008. Yeah, it never collapses. But gold can't collapse because you can't print it. Physical gold. That's why we are in it. That's the blueprint. That always has the value. Every country that's had it was number one. We are now the new country that has gold and silver. And we will have wealth because we have gold and silver. We just follow the playbook. Countries with gold and silver were number one, and then they got rid of it. They printed their dollars to zero. France, England, Spain, they got fucked. And that's it. The Dutch East India Company, I finally said it right. They did the same thing. They printed money, printed. They were illegal. And we're doing it here since the Federal Reserve in 1913, 1914, and they start doing income tax. You have these bankers setting it up. The bankers are just they're just all they care about is themselves. J.P. Morgan, the biggest criminal of all, the mafia. Jamie Dimon, mafia. So all these mafia guys are trying to protect them, but they're idiots. They don't understand it. And gold's the key. And so just hold your gold and silver. Don't leave it in a bank or a safety deposit box. Leave it in your house. And that's it. And if you do that, you're fine. You don't tell a lot of people you have it, just like your family and very, very close friends who you can trust, which is probably two, and you'll be okay with it. Otherwise, you got your money in the bank, you're fucked. You got your money in the stocks, you're fucked. You got Bitcoin, you're fucked. Stable coin, don't even go there. That's another Ponzi scheme. Well, it'll be backed by the dollar. Well, but the dollar has no value. So backing it by the dollar does not say the stable coin has any value at all. So don't get conned into these little Ponzi scheme digital currencies. They're not real. It's got to be real. You've got to be able to see it and touch. These are real currencies. I can touch them. I know what they look like. Digital is a Ponzi scheme. You don't know what it looks like, and there's nothing you can do about it. And with that, it's time for lunch. I'll be watching the U.S. Open. I don't know why. Rooting against Scott Scheffler. Maybe Rory can come back from 15 shots down, or Nicholas can come in, or Sevi. I can't believe Sevi died. So it's we'll see, but it's really boring because the golf needs a star. They don't have any, and they keep trying to make Scott Scheffler is the number one ranked player. Yeah, that's like Georgia Tech being number one, and they're trying to sell it like, they're number one. Yeah, the guy hasn't won a tournament in 10 months. He's probably not the number one guy, and your system sucks about picking number one. If Alabama loses to Tennessee, they're not number one anymore. But they don't make these changes in golf, and they just try to get demand, and it sucks. Anyway, and we talked about these pay-per-view for baseball and football. It won't work. I wouldn't waste a nickel on it. Just you want to watch the highlights, go to YouTube and watch the highlights. Or come here and look. We can look at the box score and we can see what's going on. I don't need to watch these games. I liked watching Mizorowski in that little 30-second go fuck yourself to the manager. I'd fire the manager for trying to take Mizorowski out. That's for sure. Oh, he's pitched 98 pitches. We got to take him. Get off the fucking pitch count. If I'm managing a team and I got Mizorowski, son, you're going as much as you want. I want you to go 9 innings. You're going to complete games and get 200 wins like we used to and 3,000 strikeouts. And to change is ridiculous. All these pitchers are getting hurt anyway. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. 100 pitches. And they keep using it, and it doesn't work. It's like the 3-point shot. It doesn't work. Going for it on 4th and 2. It doesn't work, but they'll still do it. Well, it's analytics. Well, analytics doesn't work. Fucking idiots. And I'll leave you with that. So have a good day. www.teaserking.com. And it's Cincinnati 3-unit and Philadelphia 3-unit in baseball. Bet them. And let's sit back and hope they win. They won yesterday, both free picks. And, I usually look for good picks to do free picks. And it's usually the good pitcher. We did Mizorowski. We did the other guy on Philly, Sanchez, and Scanes we like to do, but he's losing, so it's hard to bet on Scanes. Anyway, that's it. So have a good day. www.teaserking.com. You want to buy me baseball for the week, $25. You get 7 days, and you get all the picks. Here I'm just giving you 2. And usually I am plus units almost every day. Probably 8 days out of 10 we're plus units. And then we have some real big days like we did. I think it was Thursday. We made 10 units and stuff like that. Anyway, have a good day. I got to go buy Gray Sports Almanac and start doing my football so I can get ready. I know you guys asked for week 1, but I'm not prepared to tell you. I just gave you some of the lines and the games, but I need to do my research. I'm not ready, and I don't. Usually I start reading it in July, and then I'm ready for the first week. Anyway, have a good day. www.teaserking.com. Take care. Enjoy. Happy Father's Day.